this video, we are going to discuss about how to automate HTTP request smuggling attacks in our day-to-day bug bounty hunting and pen testing. So before going to discuss about how to automate it, so let's first discuss about what is HTTP request smuggling and other stuff. So yeah, so what is HTTP request smuggling? So it is basically a way of exploiting sequences of requests processing by the server that are received by one or more users. Okay, so this vulnerability is considered as critical in the way of severity, so which allows an attacker to bypass security controls and gain unauthorized access to sensitive data and many more attack vectors. And the main thing to keep in mind is this vulnerability is only vulnerable for the HTTP versions like HTTP 1.0 and HTTP 1.1 versions only. So it is not vulnerable for HTTP 2 version. Okay. So yeah, so let's get into the technical analysis of HTTP request smuggling. So this is a basic diagram. The first user sends the request to front end server, and which might in this case there might be some load balancers or reverse proxy servers, etc., etc. So and it forwards the request to one or more backend servers which are there in the backend application. So typically sends several requests, not only one request at a time. So basically many requests that are being sent over the same backend server. So HTTP requests are sent one after another. So and the server passes the HTTP request headers to determine where one request ends and the next one begins. So yeah, so in this situation, so basically it is crucial that the front end and back end systems agree about the boundaries between the requests. So if these front end and back end servers are not in sync, so this HTTP request smuggling attack occurs. So or else an attacker might be able to send an malformed request that gets processed differently by the front end and back end systems. So the attacker sends part of their front end request to the interpreted by the backend server as the start of the next request. So they will be basically malform that particular request in order to exploit HTTP request smuggling attack. So it then adds to the next request, which can interfere with the way the application processes that request. So basically, this can be understandable when there is a technical demo which was given. So yeah, so let's get into the topic, like how to automate this particular identification of HTTP request smuggling attack in your reconnaissance or bug bounty hunting or pen testing phases. So yeah, so there is a awesome tool which was written by DevParam, a tool called Smuggler. So basically now we are going to discuss about how to set up this tool and how to use this tool, and how to use this tool particularly at the time of reconnaissance and pen testing or bug bounty hunting. So yeah, let's see how the GitHub profile of this Smuggler tool. So here is the download link. So let's first download the particular tool, and next go copy the commands as it is, and let's see list of files that are there. So smuggler.py is there, so paste that command over here, help command, so you can see the various options that are displayed for this particular tool. So the usage is very simple. So you just need to give the URL if your target application is only one domain. So you just basically use this flag -u and give that particular URL over there, and it will scan for HTTP request smuggling attack and all. So yeah, let's fire up the burp suite lab and take that domain, and let's see how that particular tool works and all. Yeah, so Yeah, so here is the domain of Ports Figure Lab. So let's use the flag called -u and paste the domain over here, URL over here. You can see now the tool scans for the particular HTTP request smuggling attack, possible request smuggling attacks. So it is checking for possible attack for this particular attack vector. So it will basically take some time to exploit and identify that for the given URL. Yeah. So you can see, this the result shows that potentially CLT issue found, which means potential HTTP request smuggling attack, which was found in this particular domain. So let's copy the URL and let's paste it in this verb suite. So, yeah, here you can paste it as URL. Uh, you paste the URL as a request and see whether you are able to send the request to the server or not. So you get 200 OK response over here, okay, which is working fine. For that, in order to exploit this HTTP request smuggling attack, you basically need request method as post. So now change the request method from get to post, and content type, let it be as it is, and let the content length be 10, and you need to enter a new extra header called transfer encoding, which is chunked chunked and make sure the connection is keep alive. Okay, so by default, as you can see in the slide which I have explained it earlier, so the HTTP request smuggling attack is only vulnerable in the HTTP versions like HTTP 1.0 and HTTP 1.1 versions only. So it is not vulnerable for HTTP 1.2, in HTTP 2 versions. Okay, so by default, Burp Suite will take HTTP 2 version. So in order to downgrade this particular version, so even if you change over here, it will take it as 2 again. So because in the proxy, you this can be changed by going to the settings and changing the disabling this particular HTTP2 option and enabling the HTTP1 option. Okay. Now open new tab over here in the Burp Suite and again paste the URL, copied URL as request in this. As you can see, now the HTTP will the Burp Suite will take the HTTP request as HTTP protocol as 1.1 version. So let's forward this request to the server, and you can see we'll get 200 OK response. In order to exploit this HTTP request smuggling attack, so first you need to change the request method from get to post. Change request method, and you can see the post 200 OK, and make sure the content type is application, the as it is XWW form URL encoded, and the connection should be keep alive. Okay, and let's say content length some random number, like let's say 10, and you need to enter another header called transfer encoding chunked. Okay, so now you can basically give the payload in the request body uh, as a CEC and CLT payload. Okay, so let's say give the make sure, let's assume that the front end server is accepting content, checking for content length, and you have, let's enter the 0 over here, and make sure to enter some random character over here in the, as a, let's say G. Okay, so where I'm checking that, assuming that the backend server is checking for transfer encoding header. Okay, so let's forward the request to the server. So you will need to get 200 OK response first, and replay the request again. So you'll get the 403 forbidden error. So basically this solves the burp suit lab in this. So this is one of the basic exploitation of HTTP request smuggling attack. But in order to automate this particular thing at the time of reconnaissance or bug bounty hunting, so you can basically use this tool called smuggler. Okay, so let's see how we can use that. Okay, so we have already installed the tool. As you can see, this is the tool over here, and let's assume that you have performed subdomain enumeration using subfinder, and AMAS and various other tools, and you have also filtered out list of live subdomains using a tool called HTTPX, and you have saved it in one file. Okay, let's assume that. This is the file. Okay, epiclive.txt. Okay, so in order to perform HTTP request smuggling attack on all the subdomains which you have scanned, so at the time of reconnaissance, so you basically need to give the cat command and the path of that saved live subdomains.txt, and grep it with smuggler.py tool. Okay, let's see how it goes. So you can see I have pasted the command over here. So I don't know, smuggler will check for each and every subdomain, live subdomain of this epic application. Okay, so if at all the particular subdomain is vulnerable for HTTP request smuggling attack, so this will show you a potential vulnerability for CLT or TECL kind of attacks. Okay, let's assume that, I mean, let's instead of waiting for completing the scan and everything, and scrolling up and down for the valid results and all, so let's grep it. So like, so paste the same command again and grep it with the text. Okay, so when you click on enter, so you will not get any results in the over here. You'll get results only if this particular text is present in that output. Okay, if at all that particular subdomain is vulnerable for HTTP request smuggling attack, so you'll get the output over here. Okay, then you can go and do the further exploitation for HTTP request smuggling attacks and on the all the live subdomains. Okay, so hope you have understood on how this tool can be used at the time of reconnaissance and at the time of bug bounty hunting. So hope you have enjoyed the video. Thank you so much. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share. Thank you so much.